Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling a massive, honestly kind of mind-bending paradigm shift about how we view the physical world around us. We're going to dive right into the very definition of what a resource actually is. And I promise you, by the end of our time together, you're going to look at the environment, human ingenuity, and the whole concept of scarcity in a completely different way. It's a real game changer. So, are we actually running out of resources? You know, we hear it all the time, right? There's this deep traditional anxiety out there about scarcity. We tend to just assume that resources are finite physical objects buried in the ground. Like once we dig them all up, that's it, game over. But well, the sources we're unpacking today, they completely challenge that entire assumption. To really answer that question, we gotta start by reimagining what resources actually are. In the field of geography, the study of the Earth isn't just about, drawing maps or pointing out mountains. It's fundamentally about how we transform the seemingly useless stuff around us into something immensely valuable.
You see, in geography, a resource is not a physical thing. It's a dynamic function. It is something that satisfies human needs and contributes to social welfare. Theorists like Mucknell, they emphasize that literally nothing is a resource until it's actively used to achieve a specific goal. And another theorist, Fisher, echoes this by stating, a resource is simply anything that satisfies human needs. So it puts all the focus entirely on utility. It's not about the object itself, it's about what that object actually does for us. And this whole idea brings us to a famous, really foundational mantra from the influential theorist E.W. Zimmerman. He said, resources are not, they become. Think about that for a second. They become. He argued that neither the environment nor its physical parts are resources until they are capable of satisfying human needs through our technological and cultural intervention. Basically, a resource has to be created. So if resources have to be created, exactly how do they become? Well, in resource geography, they're forged at the intersection of three specific pillars. We call this the resource creation trinity. Now, this relationship is entirely interdependent. First up, you have nature. But nature doesn't provide resources, it just provides the raw materials, what theorists actually call neutral stuff. Second, you have technology. This represents the tools and the knowledge we use to actually convert that nature into a resource. And third, we have institutions. These are the social, political, and economic structures, the laws, the markets, the property rights, that organize exactly how we apply that technology to nature. The absolutely crucial point here is how this geographic trinity maps directly onto classical economics. The geographical pillars of nature, man, and culture, they perfectly mirror the economic trilogy of production. Nature provides the land, the physical base. Man provides the labor, meaning the physical and mental effort required. And culture provides the capital, the accumulated knowledge, tools, and social systems. Together, these three elements take a completely dormant physical environment and transform it into a functional, living economic landscape. Okay, so now that we know what resources are and the mechanics of how they're created, we have to look at the star of the show, us. But interestingly, resource geography makes a very specific, kind of fascinating distinction about humanity. Theorists actually separate the individual from the collective species. On one side, you have man with a small m. That's the individual human being simply acting as a consumer, just a biological entity with basic needs and a relatively limited impact on the world. But on the other side, you have man with a capital M, and this represents the human race as a collective creator and a massive cultural force. Man with a capital M holds the collective knowledge, the technology, and the sheer organizational power to literally transform the entire planet. Because we possess that incredible collective organizational power, we arrive at a massive realization. Natural resources are changing. They are not fixed. I mean, yes, the physical amount of matter on planet Earth is completely finite, for sure. But its status as a resource, that shifts constantly right alongside human capability, which leads us to one of the most exciting, mind-bending concepts in resource geography. It's called the phantom pile phenomenon, and it explains how we can literally create wealth and resources completely out of thin air. Let me give you a really concrete example. Imagine a car. Now, if human engineers invent a new engine that allows that exact same car to travel twice as far on just one single gallon of gas, what just happened? We haven't found a single new drop of oil in the ground, but functionally, in terms of actual utility, we have effectively doubled the resource.
That right there, that's the phantom pile. It is the extra resource wealth generated by our brain power, by our efficiency, and by our technology, rather than by just pulling more physical matter out of the dirt. We are literally using our intellect to manufacture physical value. It's wild. And when you factor in the phantom pile, a massive realization hits you. The most vital factor in this entire global equation isn't the environment at all. The ultimate resource is actually human intellect and desire. Because without human beings acting as the catalyst to give the environment meaning, it's useless. Think about it. Coal is literally just a black rock. Uranium is nothing more than a heavy metal. And a waterfall? To a society that has no knowledge of electricity, a waterfall is just falling water. It is absolutely not a power resource. It's our culture that determines what a resource is. Culture acts as a filter through which the entire environment is perceived. So as our collective culture evolves and as our knowledge base grows, the actual resource base of the entire world literally expands with it. So we have this useless, neutral stuff in nature, and we have human culture and intellect ready to use it. Technology is the crucial bridge that connects the two. It's the mechanism that turns the neutral stuff into the actual resource. And, according to the theorists, this bridge serves three primary, really concrete roles. First is discovery. Technology helps us find hidden materials, like, using satellite imaging to locate minerals deep underground. Second is extraction. That allows us to reach previously inaccessible materials, like using deep-sea drilling tech. And third is transformation. Taking that raw material and turning it into a usable form, like taking raw, basically useless bauxite and turning it into highly valuable aluminum. So the sources we've explored today show that technology continually expands the limits of the Earth. The illusion of scarcity fades when you realize that the only true scarcity is a lack of human ingenuity. So I want to leave you with this provocative question. If human intellect is the ultimate catalyst, what useless neutral stuff sitting around us today will become our greatest, most valuable resource tomorrow? Really think about that. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep looking at the world differently.